Coming up on the HR Big Meat podcast. I know from my own experience, I know from the people that I interact with, we just want to do good. And yet there is this perception that we're the complete opposite of everything that we want to be. So I know how hard and frustrating that is. Caring so much for other people and not one single fucking person is thinking they might need some support too. Welcome to the HR Big Meat podcast. This is the place where we amplify the voices of women in HR and have honest conversations about what it really means to work in this profession so that nobody has to internalise the idea that they are the problem. We are all about you having sustainable impact without compromise. So expect real stories, just a smattering of swear words, a few uncomfortable truths, and everything that you'd hope from something that is proudly not like normal HR. Are you ready to be a human's resource? Great, let's jump right in. In this first episode of the HR Big Meat podcast, I'm sharing my own story from nearly 20 years in HR to bullying, IVF, career crossroads, and eventually walking away from the version of success that I thought I was supposed to want. Now, through my business Be Unstoppable, I coach individuals on a one-to-one basis, I run events, and I create Humans Resourced, supporting women in leadership to create maximum impact without compromising themselves in the process. With me, you can expect sarcasm, stories stronger than is normal, opinions about the word fluffy, and a reminder that you are not the problem for finding the broken systems hard to survive in. I talk confidence, leadership, people-pleasing, authenticity, toxic workplace dynamics, and the pressure that we feel as HR professionals to constantly prove our worth. Mostly, though, in this episode, it is all about reconnecting to who you actually are beneath all the conditioning you've been given about who you've been told to be. I chose to work in HR. Like I literally chose it. Weirdly enough, literally yesterday, as I record this, my parents turned up unexpectedly and gave me a load of my old school reports. And in one of the personal statements that I wrote back in 1995, yeah, I'm that old, I wrote about wanting to work in personnel management. Yeah, I'm that old. So right from the very early stages of even thinking about what kind of job I wanted to do, it was HR. How weird is that? Most of us fall into it, right? There's been a long time that's passed since then, and a lot has happened since then. And what I thought that I would do in this first episode of the HR Big Meat podcast is tell you my story. The podcast is all about stories, and of course I have one. I've got plenty. And I'm going to try and condense them into this episode so that you know a little bit more about me, why I do what I do, and why this podcast exists. So yes, I always wanted to work in HR right from the very beginning, right from the age of like 15, 16. I think I did some work experience at one point and thought, yeah, that's it. That's for me. I found my thing. And I'll carry on and do that. So that's basically what I did. I went to college, I went to university, I studied business and HR. And when I graduated, I got my first job as in a graduate HR role. And pretty much from then and ever since, I worked in HR. It's weird that I did. My parents would always say to me, right when I said that I wanted to work in this profession, they'd say, well, you do realise that no one likes HR, don't you? And I just don't understand that at all. Like, why would people not like you when all you want to do is do good and make a difference? I mean, looking back now, obviously the power of hindsight, yes, I very much understand what they were talking about. But I did as you were expected to do back when I started my career. I progressed up the ranks, kept on looking for jobs that I thought would fit this ideal model of what I should be as a HR professional. So I right from the very beginning, I was going to progress. I was going to manage a team. I was going to do that for like a little while, and then probably at the age of 50, I was going to become this consultant who would swoop in and solve problems for everyone, and then swoop back out and having made a shitload of money. That was my dream, which I pretty much followed to the rule, right up until the point that I received, or I got the job that I thought was my dream job. It was the head of HR. It was managing a team, and I was like, this is it. I'm only 30, and I've made it. Like, I'm here, I'm doing it. That job turned out to be the worst job of my career, even now. And there's been a few rubbish ones since. I was bullied in that role. It impacted my health, it impacted my mental health. Looking back helped me realise that actually that's if progression looked like that, then that's not what I wanted for myself. Obviously, you can look back and look at the positives and realise it helped me know that I really didn't want to manage people. That wasn't what I was meant to do. So I left that role. Weirdly, even though it was that bad, not through my own choice, went through a settlement agreement. So we can talk about that another time. You're meant to do that in HR, are you? Left that role, and as a result, took a kind of sideways step into another role, which was all right. It was basically building up my confidence again. I was about to leave, and then the leadership changed. I was 6 weeks into my notice period, and I changed my mind. Oh my God, the shame. What are you going to do with me? I had to phone up the other company and be like, I'm sorry, I'm not coming anymore, when they've already waited 6 weeks. I mean, if you're listening to this, just sorry, but it was the right decision. And you probably found the right person in the end too, right? So I did that. I decided to stay even though I'd resigned. And that turned out to be the best decision that I'd ever made in my career. I ended up working for a leader who just completely transformed me as a HR professional. You know, the leaders that we all like, we know that we're aiming for in HR. We know that good leadership has an impact. Like, I experienced that. Someone who challenged me, who coached me, who pushed me, who advocated for me, who spoke up for me in rooms I wasn't in, who gave me opportunities that I'd never had before. Like this, it was an amazing, incredible experience, and it completely transformed who I was as an HR professional. And it was all well and good. Loved it, absolutely bloody loved it. Could have stayed there forever if it had stayed like that. And of course, guess what happened? The leadership changed at the top, and the boss that I was working for was moved on. And yeah, things just kind of went backwards. And I knew in my heart that that wasn't where I wanted to stay. And it just, it was so frustrating. You know, when you know that something could be so good because you've experienced it, and then it goes back and you're like, oh, I wish it was still like this, but it wasn't. And about the same time, I was actually 2 failed IVF attempts into our journey to become parents. And it was one particular evening where, I think it was night actually, I think I was awake in the night. Someone had named me in a grievance. The workload was just not letting up. It was a really challenging time. Someone had said that I'd shouted at them, which just, such a people pleaser, would never happen. It was a tough time. And I thought, what am I actually doing? What am I doing? This doesn't make sense. I'd known for probably a year or so that that wasn't really where I wanted to be. So it was that evening that I think this is one of many nights where I've like elbowed my husband in his sleep and gone like, I need to leave my job. And thankfully I have a supportive husband, and he said to me, yeah, I know. And I needed to leave that job because I knew that if we wanted the family that we wanted and had been trying so hard for, then I needed to not prioritise my career for a little while. That's essentially what I did. I didn't do it straight away because you've got to build the courage up for these kind of things. But I resigned from that role without another job to go to, dealt with everything that comes with doing that. But it was in pursuit of the thing that I really wanted, which was for us to have a family. That very last attempt at IVF that we had was successful, and my daughter was born in the September of the following year. In the meantime, I'd taken a part-time role, headhunted for it, which was amazing. It helped kind of take the pressure off going through the IVF. And my daughter was born and I became a mum. And I mean, that significantly changed me. Of course it does. She was born in 2017. And once again, I did what you shouldn't do as an HR professional, which was I resigned from my job whilst I was on maternity leave. And I started a new job at the end of my maternity leave. And I didn't tell them until I started that job that I'd been on maternity leave. Dun, dun. Yeah, I'm that person. I am breaking rules all over the place about how we're meant to do things, right? So essentially the reason I did that was because we tried for a really long time to have my daughter, and I wanted it to be, if I was going to leave her in nursery, which was necessary, then I wanted the job that I was going to be worth it, right? I wanted it to feel important to me. So I took a job that I thought would fulfill that, even though I did it in all the ways that you're not meant to. Who says? So that happened, and quite quickly, to be honest, realised that role wasn't what I thought it was going to be. I wasn't having the impact that I wanted to. And I did go for several jobs whilst I was in that role. Shh, don't tell anyone. But I didn't get any of those jobs. And what I realised looking back was my heart wasn't really in it. I was sat in these interviews just thinking, this is more of the same, right? It felt very same shit, different day, if I'm honest. And I thought, I don't know. It felt like I would just be moving to experience more of the same. And I started to get a bit disillusioned. I just kind of thought, I've had the pinnacle of everything brilliant. I've worked in a brilliant team. I've had that leadership support. And I just can't seem to find it again. Does it really exist? Is it really, really going to exist? So I think at some point, I'm not quite sure on all the timings, I came across an organisation called One of Many and decided to train with them as a coach. So COVID hits, as any good story starts these days. COVID hits, and I mean, everything changed, right? Everything changed. And I came to the conclusion, why is it that I keep having to mop up the messes created by other people? That's essentially where I got to in the career. It didn't feel fulfilling to me anymore. I could see things could be so different. I knew what I'd experienced, and I just wondered why it was so hard for other people to see that, for it to happen anywhere else. Why does it not happen everywhere? Why is it, when it's so simple, that it doesn't happen everywhere? So I realised I wanted a different way for me to get my magic out in the world. And in having done the coaching qualification in November of that year, I resigned. Because who doesn't resign in the middle of an actual global pandemic when a stable job would be a really sensible thing to keep hold of? That made sense. It didn't make any sense. Like a lot of my decisions, if you look at them in the realms of what you're supposed to do, didn't make any sense at all. But I genuinely felt there was a different way for me to be working, and I wanted to do something different. I wanted to have a different impact than the one that I felt that I was able to within the HR profession. So February 2021, started my business, went full-time self-employed, baby. And here we are, like 5 years later, essentially, again, as I record this. Still going strong. I'm still in business. Oh, yeah. And it's not easy. And sometimes I sit and look at jobs and I think, oh, what am I doing? Wouldn't it be easier just to have a just secure income every month? Yes. But ultimately, I still feel very drawn towards making my impact in a different way. So that's my like potted career history. And that's why I could probably never get a job, because when they do the tell us about yourselves, I'm going to reel off all that shit and they're not going to care. But the reason that I give you the context in this conversation is because all of those experiences, that is such a highlight. I could talk about any of those things in more detail, and I do, and I probably will throughout the course of this podcast. There's a theme throughout all of them, right? There's a theme of going against the norm. There's a theme of being brave and backing yourself. A theme of doing the things other people would probably think that you're a little bit mental for doing. There's a theme of like not being who other people think you should be, or doing things other people think you should do, and doing the things that are right for you instead. And that is the stuff that very much informs the work that I do these days, which essentially is largely what I was trying to do when I was in-house HR. I don't think that anyone should go home worse from work than when they arrived. Sadly, too many people do. There's so many stats, there's so much data, there's so much information available that says the way that we are working doesn't work for everyone. It works for a few. And I had to help those people when I was in-house. I had to help support those people who were hurt by the system when I was in-house HR. I was one of those people that was hurt by the system when I was in-house HR. And I now support women who are still affected by that system. So I know that there is purpose to the work that I do. Aside from all the external evidence, I just feel it in my bones that that's the work that I'm here to do. And I share my experiences because I know the toll that this profession can have on us. And I know how misunderstood we are and how hard it is when you're so misunderstood and everyone, like, you just want to do good work. You just want to have an impact. You just want to make people's experiences at work good. And yet everyone else thinks that you're some kind of like evil, I don't know, villain sitting in your top of your ivory tower. I'm quite active on social media and I get trolls sometimes. I laugh at them because some of the comments are quite imaginative. One of the comments was, HR is the tool of the elite to suppress the masses. Like, that's hilarious. HR's not that much fun. It sounds joyful, to be honest. I know from my own experience, I know from the people that I interact with, we just want to do good. And yet there is this perception that we're, like I say, the complete opposite of everything that we want to be. So I know how hard that and frustrating that is. I also know how isolating it can be when you are caring so much for other people and you don't get the same back. It's almost like you're expected to be the kind of emotional sponge for everyone in your organisation, and not one single fucking person is thinking, oh, they might need some support too in doing all of that for everyone. What about them? That, I know what that feels like, and how difficult it can be to ask for help when you are in that kind of environment. I know the toll that the profession can have on your confidence and your self-belief and your belief in your worth when everyone is questioning you all the fucking time. And the feeling that you have to prove yourself all the time. Like, it's just everywhere, this narrative that HR needs to prove itself and HR needs to show what it adds to the bottom line. And like, oh, fuck off. If you can't say, all like in 20 years I've been doing this. If we haven't reached a point that organizations can't see that if you have an expert function to look after the people in your business who you say are your best asset, like why would you need to why would you why is it necessary to constantly prove ourselves? And what I also know, because I was there, because I never vocalized this stuff when I was in house either, I also know that when you're in the midst of it all, it can feel like you're the only one. And it can feel like you're the problem, that you must not be capable, that you must not be good enough, that you must not have XYZ skill, strategy, commerciality, whatever. And that there must be something wrong with you. Because why is everyone else coping when it's this hard for you? I've been there, right? I know that is a thing. And what I want to say, the reason that I think I exist these days is to say that it's absolutely not about you. It's not about you. There are ways that I think that we can interact with the profession that makes it a fuck ton easier to do these things that we do. And I do think we could ask for help more. And I do think that we could vocalize the challenges that we're having more. But the problem is never, it's not you. There's systemic stuff that we're just not ever acknowledging or resolving or sorting or dealing with. And it's keeping us stuck and it's keeping us in a loop. And that's where I find a lot of the women that I work with that too many people, you're feeling unheard, you're feeling stuck, and you're feeling devalued. And yet I know on the inside you're like, I could do so much if only they would listen, if only this would be different. I know that you want to have a big impact in the world. And what I also think can exist at the same time is that you can never have the impact that you want to, all the while you're feeling devalued, all the while you are running yourself into the ground to please everyone else. So that is kind of what I exist to do, right? We spend our whole lives being the version of who we think we need to be successful, whatever that looks like, to meet the standards of success that exist for us. And then one day, just like I did, we wake up and we realize, what the fuck? This doesn't bring me joy. It doesn't make me happy. It doesn't play to my strengths. I don't even know that if what I need to do to be successful, the version of successful that exists out there, if what I need to do is what I want anymore. Like, is that who I want to be? Is that what I want for my life? Probably not. And we know that there is so much more to us that we want to give to the world and that other people can see in us. But we're like, I don't know if I want to give it to the world. I don't know if I want to give it to the system that's devalued me for so long. I don't even know what version of success I want to have, because frankly, at the moment, I just want to run away and live on an island by myself and never have to talk to people again. Because doesn't that feel joyous when you reach a certain point in your career? If you could just never talk to people again, that would be absolutely brilliant. Thank you very much. Is that just me? I know it's not just me. So for me, and the work that I do now, it's not about being more of anything. It's not about being more commercial. It's not about getting more qualifications. It's not about being more strategic. I think that's all just another narrative that's just a pain in the arse, to be honest. We're already strategic. We're already commercial. We are woefully unsupported by a system that doesn't recognise the true value of what we bring. That's what I want to change in the world. That's why I do the work that I do. So the only thing I think that we need to aim for as individuals is being more of ourselves, having the clarity about who we really are and what really matters to us, having the clarity around what we're really good at, what our strengths really are, and knowing that, like, just because in the world of work you can't put them on a P&L necessarily, and that other people might think they're fluffy. Oh, Rachel's fluffy. Just as an aside, by the way, if I think we should reclaim fluffy. I think we should absolutely reclaim fluffy. If if the things that people are using to define fluffy are compassion, kindness, empathy, collaboration, care, if that's how people are defining fluffy, then let me be fluffy all day, quite frankly. Because I can do hard things, I can do the right things for the business, but I can do them in the right way. That's what fluffy is to me. So why do we think that's a problem? I use a strapline in my business. You might have seen it. If not, you'll take it, use it, love it. Fluffy. You can't spell fluffy without FU. You're welcome. So all the things that we're good at, playing to those strengths rather than like constantly devaluing them. It's about having such a strong sense of your value that other people's opinions just don't matter. That you can get something wrong and you can fail, you can make mistakes and know that your whole world isn't going to end. It doesn't completely damage your credibility because you don't know the answer to a question. Like, this for me is about leading from a place of authenticity and vulnerability and seeing the ripple effects that that has on the people around you and seeing how that changes the world of work when leadership is just more human and approachable and we can just connect with each other as people, not as bloody job titles. That's my dream for the world. There's my TED talk. Not really. That'll come. So ultimately, I know that there's a different way of working. I know that there's a way of working that is more sustainable. I am living proof, and my clients are living proof that by adjusting how we interact with the profession, we can do it in a way that is more sustainable, that doesn't prioritize everyone else. Like, we care deeply, all of us, but we can do that without compromising ourselves. We can have boundaries. We can give as much of ourselves to our work as we want to, intentionally, that doesn't result in giving all of us away. I refer to that as being humans resourced. And for me, that is about having your biggest impact, but in a sustainable way. And through this, through my work, through my coaching, through the events that I run, through this podcast, that's what I want to do. Is I want you to experience that. I want you to know through evidence that other people are working in a different way, in a way that is sustainable, that other people, that it's possible by changing the way that we interact with the profession, that it's possible for it to be fulfilling without like sucking out our soul and taking our identity and us having to be something that we're not in order to be successful. For me, that's my biggest hope for you, is that you get to experience that and you get to see that and you get to try things out and work a little bit differently, in a way that feels meaningful and sustainable for you. Like, I genuinely believe that the HR profession has the potential to change the world of work. I actually think it's our duty to do that because no one else is talking about it. No one else is spending all their time thinking about how we can make work a great experience. They're just not. That's our responsibility and it's our remit to do that. But we can't do that all the while that we are doubting our abilities, that we are operating from this place of like lack and I must have to prove myself. You don't need to prove anything. The world needs you authentically doing what you do. You are so powerful. You're so powerful beyond what actually you think is possible for you right now. And oh, I just wish through this podcast you start to realize that. My My biggest goal is that I've got an 8-year-old daughter going on 9. She's 9 in 4 months, and she would very proudly tell me. My biggest ambition is that she gets into the workplace and never has to get sick or rely on someone in HR because the effort of fitting in at work, being who she needs to be at work, doesn't make her sick, right? I never want her to have to go to HR and say, my boss is bullying me, or I can't cope with this workload. Like, I need things to change for her. I need her to go into work and have a different experience. My way of doing that is to help more women in leadership to lead authentically. So that's my intention. I share lived experiences rather than data because I think stories are so much more powerful. And if you have a story to share, and if you want to use your voice for good, then let me know. Get in touch. I want to hear your stories. I want to hear your experiences of working in HR, what you've done, what lessons you've learned along the way. And I want more people to know that they are not alone in this profession that is just so misunderstood. So enjoy the journey. I hope you enjoy the speakers. I know I like the conversations. Let me know if you want to be on this, who you want to hear from as well. And go out there and just be friggin' unstoppable, because you unstoppable is just an amazing thing. Now, if there is one thing that you need to know about me, it is that I am not a fan of just taking on board information and then doing nothing with it. So every single episode of this podcast, I'm going to give you something to do as a result. Obviously, it's optional. I'm not going to hunt you down and see if you've done it or not. But I think, as always, if change is what you're seeking, will come from action. So that's what I'm going to be encouraging is, yes, listening, taking things on board, seeing what resonates with you, but then doing something different as a result. So each time I'm going to be giving you something to do. And this episode is no different. Obviously, I've shared my story. And I think the common thread throughout it all is doing the unexpected, doing the things that felt right for me, prioritizing myself, the things that mattered to me, that didn't necessarily fit with what other people might think I should do. So I'm going to give you a question to reflect on, and I'd love to hear genuinely what comes up for you as a result. You can contact me. I'm not against that. I would love to be in your world more than just a voice in your plug-hole. So the question that I'm going to give you this week is, if nothing about your career had to look impressive to other people, what would you be choosing? I didn't say the questions were easy. They're meant to make you think. If nothing about your career had to look impressive to other people, what would you be choosing? Oosh, I'll leave it there, I think.